Hello, ladies. Just getting everybody admitted in here. I think I've got everyone accepted. Amazing. Gallery view. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Excuse me.
Good.
Good. Good. All right. You guys are all so prompt, right on time. Impressive. Impressive. So I did not receive any messages about getting coached. Does that mean we're all just going to hang out tonight? No one wants coaching? Yeah, right. Oh, we've got a lady. We've got someone who's brave. Love it.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Can. Oh,
okay.
yes.
Okay. Do you have anything exciting to tell us before we get started? I just always love listening to you first.
I probably have lots of exciting stuff. Well, tomorrow I shared in the Facebook group the link to the Finding Joy retreat that I'm a part of. And the coolest thing is that I got put as the last speaker of the entire event, which I feel is like the best spot ever. Because then I can listen to everybody and like pull little nuggets and pieces and then bring it all together for like just a power packed kind of end message to go out with a bang. So I am very excited. If any of you are available, you can still sign up. You can get all of the speakers' recordings. It is in the Life Launch Facebook group. And if you can be there live, that would be really cool. There's like breakout rooms and it's so fun. So if you guys want to, I'm on tomorrow morning at 11:15 Pacific, and it's structured like TED Talks. So they're just kind of these like really good nuggets of joy and positivity and whatever. So I'm super pumped to be a part of that and to be presenting tomorrow. But let me tell you, when you're like me and you like to talk and you got lots to say, to narrow it down to 20 minutes, it's like, oh God, what do I talk about? So yeah, I'm very, very excited though.
Well, I'm very excited for you. That sounds fun. I know I saw that yesterday and I like saved it so that I didn't have to go searching for it. So I'll have a look tonight and sign up because that sounds like fun.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah, I would love that. What's new with you? Do you have any exciting anything?
You know what? It's funny because I was yesterday, I'm like, I don't have anything to get coached on, like la 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 la, things are good. And then I had like hard conversation with somebody today, like those like hard conversations where you want to throw up, but like, you need to have them. And I felt good about like the way it happened. I wasn't coming from a place of emotion. I was at peace with what I had to say. And I just like said it. And now I'm like dreading the aftermath of it. I feel like I'm kind of sitting in the dread of like, okay, so I'm trying to stay out of like, okay, now she went home and she had this conversation and now they're talking about this, or what is that going to mean? And what kind of follow-up conversations is that going to create? And so yeah, I'm kind of sitting in that. And I know I should just kind of let it go. I don't have any control over that. I have no responsibility whatsoever for their emotions or their feelings or their thoughts. Like I just said, okay, this is where I am. This is what's what. But I am still kind of like, that just like kind of like shaky feeling about it. When you think about it, it kind of just like makes your voice shake a little bit and you get kind of, so.
Emotions
sitting
bubble
in
up a
that.
little bit, like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I was, I came from this like place of peace, and like I've kind of come to terms with it, and then you like say it and it's like you're good and there's no but then all of a sudden now I'm just like, okay, crap, like can we just go back to that place where I was like over here and I was okay with it, and now we like had to have that conversation. And
Okay,
so
so can you give me like Paul's
yeah,
note,
yeah.
like
Okay, so
what you're talking about?
yes.
Okay.
So my mom, this has always got to do with my mom, you guys. I'm sorry. This is the only other person I see in quarantine. I'm sure if
Oh,
I saw
great.
other
Mama
people, then
problem.
I'd have lots of stuff to say about them too. But no, so my mom comes over and watches our girls for me sometimes during the week so that I can do some work. And this morning she kind of made a comment about how my girls were going to think, or sorry, that my stepdad had said that the girls were going to think that they're homeless. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Why would they think that? And she said, oh, well, he said it's because you never let them come over. But I know it's because it's not, like we don't really have like the house is really like, kid friendly and da 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 da. And I said, well, you know what? To be honest, Mom, and we've kind of talked about this before because we have had this conversation. I said, it's because um, my stepdad has a drinking problem
Mm.
and he's drinking when he's not at work, and it's like it's a lot, and it's just not an environment that I personally feel comfortable in, and it's not one that I want my children in.
Mhm.
So I have the boundaries that if we're around them, if we go out to their summer place, that like there's no drinking. If we're like, I definitely won't let my kids go there alone because I know that he's drinking. And he also has a personality that can be very um,
Okay, I think you froze. At first I thought you were in deep thought, and Carla, and then I realized that you were frozen. I was like, okay, she's really thinking this one through. Um, hmm, wonderful world of the web. Frozen face. Okay, so maybe log out and then come back in if you can hear me, Kristen.
I just messaged her saying she's frozen, so maybe she'll see something or she's working on it. Maybe.
Just like talking away, still right into it. Oh, here she goes.
Oh.
She's gonna pop out and jump right back in. Oh, I see that Christelle. Is that how you say your name, Christelle? Childer House. Yeah. She said, make sure you ladies tune in tomorrow because the last couple of days were amazing. So, okay,
they
Chris,
were.
thank you. Yes, it's been so good. And the girl who's hosting the entire event, I've hired her as, which is so good for anybody who knows anything about me, like the admin side of things, like back end technology, I will mess it up 100% of the time. Okay, maybe 99. So I've hired her, and she's phenomenal to do the back end of my retreat, which is coming up at the end of January, and then she's moderating the entire thing, and I'm like beyond excited because I don't have to do it. Okay, sorry, Kristen, back to you. Let's talk.
Okay.
So you were saying that at the lake, they know that
Yeah,
people
so
can go
it's
there.
just basically I've, like expressed to them that if we're going to spend time with you guys, then we would prefer it if you're sober, like from
Right.
drugs and alcohol. That's it.
Yeah.
So, and he's mean. And I grew up with that, whatever. I know that it's not me. I know it's a him thing. But he's mean to my kids too. And not all of them, just like a couple of them. So when we're in those moments, we
Wait,
try to.
how many kids do you have?
I have three.
Okay. Okay. So,
um so he just kind of like picks on one in particular. So we try to, like, in the moment, I just kind of say, you know what, like, don't worry, like, I kind of, whatever, I do whatever I do. And it doesn't, we're not honestly around him very much. So she made this comment today and I just said, you know what, like I said before, these are my boundaries. Sober is a thing. I can't control what you do in your own home. And I don't want you to think that this is me telling you and him that you need to stop doing your lives. That's totally fine. But these are just my boundaries.
Yeah.
And just about like the way that we speak to each other. And this is the kind of environment I'm trying to help like live in our home with our children and how we speak to each other, whatever. Okay. So,
Was that conversation
yes.
that was difficult for you?
No, because I'm like, I feel really good about that. I feel really strong in that. I feel like I've dealt with all of the things behind that. I've been doing a lot of that over this year.
Okay.
And I felt good about it today. I felt like it came up and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to just like, you know, skirt this under the rug, or I'm not going to say how I feel because I'm worried about what she's going to think or how she's going to feel or him, whatever. But then after I just said, and I just want you to know, like, I love you and I love my dad. And this has nothing to do with whether or not I love both of you. This is just me keeping us here.
This is
right?
also you loving you and
Exactly.
You loving
Exactly. Yeah. So I said all that and then she left and I've just been like, almost like shaking all day. Cause it's like, wow, I had that really hard conversation that you never want to have with somebody you love. And I felt good and strong in the moment. And now I'm just like worried about like, okay, is my dad going to call me? And like, is she at home crying? Like, I'm just like, I'm worrying about what's happening for them. So, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, what is the emotion that is coming up for you?
Well, there's sadness there because I think that there's always going to be sadness there. I think that like I can understand that. And maybe I need to cry. Like maybe today I need to just like cry about it and we'll see if I get there. Maybe it might be a tomorrow morning thing. But I think that there's sadness and it's funny because like feel the feelings. This is something that I'm really trying to like own and live with and understand that they're always going to be there. And just because I work through them and I understand them and I know what they are, I think in that specific scenario, there's always going to be sadness because it's sad, right? Like it's a sad thing. I just don't want to own their sadness. Like I'm trying to decipher, like, is it my sadness or is it her sadness that I'm taking on, right? Like, I think I'm trying to
figure that out. It's like you're sifting through it. So the first thing in regards to that, and this is me as a coach, this is me as a friend, this is me as a person saying this, that when somebody that you love is sad and you know that they're sad, you know that they're hurting, it's okay for you to be sad and to feel that as well, as long as you want to. That's okay because you love them.
Okay.
And the tough conversations, the setting of boundaries, especially when you love yourself and you love your children and you love your parents, that it's a very like uneasy ground because you as an adult is very different than you as a child. And now you're starting to allow yourself to, and you have the ability to now set a boundary and be an adult in and always will be, as far as I'm concerned, a parental and child relationship. Right? And so you're still shifting from this like version of a child into adult, which sometimes people never shift out of that. We all know those guys, right? Some of them may be your husbands, but we're, and so that shift is not always easy to have conversations like that, especially in that parental child role. Now, in saying that, if you think about, so you said that growing up, this was like kind of like the environment that you also grew
Yeah.
up in.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And to be honest, like it's never felt like she or them were parents. I've always felt like the parent, like I'm the oldest. So it's hard for me to have some of these conversations with her sometimes because she's always looked at me as like lecturing. And I'm sure for a really long time I probably was, because I was like in this place where I was just like so inundated with all of the thoughts and the feelings and that. Um so she's always just kind of like shut me out when I've been like, why do you do this, why do you have to be like this, right? And I feel like today when I came at it, it was really like it wasn't like that, like I said word for word what I said to her. So that felt good for me because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm lecturing. Like I don't feel like that person she always told me I was or whatever. Um, and so yeah, it was like a really like interesting shift for me today, even just how I communicated with her. And I think a lot of it was that I just didn't have that emotion behind what I was saying, which felt super powerful. I was just like, wow, I don't feel like I want to like climb out of my skin right now when I'm talking to her about this, right? I don't feel all those years of like emotion coming out, but I kind of feel a little bit like that now. And it was a little scary because I was like, wait a minute, you did so well. That went so good. Where is this all coming from? Right? Like, why is that? Why do you have that back? Kind of, I
Yeah,
guess.
and really the reason why you have it back is because as a child, our parents are there for a reason. And part of that is for them to protect us and to protect us and to give us love and acceptance. And as humans, children or adults, are we function out of a survival mode. And so for you, part of your survival as a child became you becoming the adult. And your parents, you seeing them as like, why can't you guys parent me? Like you're the parent. But
Yeah.
because you still needed that in your life, you became that. You became it for yourself and you became it for them. But you, as an adult, still want that love and acceptance that you never got as a child. You still want that from your parents.
For sure. Yeah.
And that is so now when you set boundaries and you think that there could be a possibility of you causing them pain, of there being some sort of backlash or whatever, I use that term,
Yeah.
like if you're whatever, you get a phone call or whatever that may look like.
Yeah.
So there's still some of that like very real threat in your head because you know and understand that pain from your entire life.
Mhm.
So, yeah, in the moment, you did really good. And you really need to celebrate yourself. And you also, if there's emotion that comes up and sadness and tears, allowing that and allowing yourself to hear the voice of that little girl.
Just don't go to that little girl again. Right.
I
We
know
just
because
heard it.
she's hurting and she has a little voice that needs to be heard still.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing is that now you're a woman who can actually give that to her by just exploring that within yourself and even writing about it. Like, if you were to sit down with her today as a woman and her as the memory that you can remember when this first came about, where you felt that pain, what is it that you would say to her? How would you comfort her? How would you draw that story out of her so that she knew she could be heard? And give her that platform, because through that, you will find healing. You will be able to, that is a process of you giving yourself that love and connection that you are now able to fulfill. And it's okay. And I'm telling you that when you allow yourself to do that, you won't have to try and change your thoughts to feel better. You will start to feel better because you've processed that emotion.
Mhm. So like on average, how long does like 33 years of processing take?
Oh man, that could take me down a whole other rabbit hole. Actually, you need to hear my talk tomorrow.
Okay, I'm gonna watch
I
it.
will be talking
Okay.
about that.
Okay, I think I need to go and
yeah,
buy a bunch of journals.
Remember, our brains, they are like a Google search all the time. Conscious, unconscious, sleeping, awake, our brains are a Google search. And because they want to keep us alive and efficient, they're constantly going, okay, avoid pain, seek pleasure, avoid pain, seek pleasure, stay efficient, avoid pain, seek pleasure. And so if there's any sign that there could be pain, remember your brain, every single thing that we've ever experienced in our lives is stored in here. So those memories that hold strong emotions with them, deep pain that we have not allowed to actually come to the surface and heal, our brain knows that it's in there and it keeps circling to try and find it. But because that pain's in here, but it's not happening anymore. You're not a little girl anymore. You're an adult. You look at you. Look how you showed up today. Like you've grown so much. You're so capable. But yet your brain and that little girl brain keeps going, oh, but there's pain in here. And we got to find it and we got to rectify it, but it's not happening anymore. So it's like a thought error. It's a glitch. And it keeps going around. And there's tons of different methods. There's tons of different things. The one that I just told you, that is a way for you to help to heal that wound so that, and the more you do that, the day by day, I coach women who are in their late 60s that are like, man, I've been doing this work for 60 years. Like, does it ever end? Like, no, it never ends. Because once you peel up one layer, there's another layer. But it gets better. It does get better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll watch tomorrow.
Okay. Good.
May
All right.
I ask a follow-up question, kind of
Yes.
like sprouting off of that?
Totally.
So, same, Christina. Like, thanks for that, because that was just everything I needed to hear. My question, I guess, is if I now know that addressing some of those feelings and the pain is going to take, I'm not going to say drastic measures, but I know that what the relationship has looked like with my parents, with my family, I know that it has to change. How can I make that change if there's such resistance? Because my family is very much, they love to just avoid. Like they just sweep it under the rug. If we don't talk about it, it's not here. And I am working to go in the opposite direction of that, and that doesn't work for me. It never has worked for me, and it's definitely not going to work for me now as an adult and as a mother. So how do I address that pain, and how do I work through that pain by setting boundaries and by changing that relationship if they're simply unwilling? Like I don't know how to take a step back from them, understanding that like just before all of this happened, everything happened, and yeah, we were like exceptionally close, like exceptionally close.
Mhm.
And so now it's like I'm mourning the loss of my closest friends as well as my family.
Mhm.
And I don't want to have this be the reality, but I know that this is the reality. And for my own well being and for my family's well being, for mine and my husband's and my kids, I have to take a step back from the relationship from what it looked like. But my family is extremely unwilling to respect that.
Okay. So when you say that they're unwilling, give me an example of what that would be like. What are you like? Be specific with me.
Well, as recently as yesterday. So I have asked for time and space, and I have done my very best to look at um, COVID and 2020 as a whole as just a giant blessing because it's been an excuse for me to take space from my family. And so I have asked time and time and time and time again for time and space. And because we were so close, my husband and I built a home. I know you guys are going to think I'm nuts. 800 meters from my parents, like very close. And yesterday we went to go take my kids to the park. And who must have saw us and came like trudging over to the park is my mom. And just like, hi, I'm here. You didn't reply to my text.
Mm,
Hi,
okay.
kids. And I'm just like, I can't escape. I
Mm.
can't even, I don't have an out. I'm like,
Okay.
yeah.
So first of all, like if somebody said to me, Charity, I need time and space, like that means nothing to me. Like I'm like, okay, I'll give you an hour. See you in an hour. And then I'm over at my best friend's house and she's still pissed at me. Right? So that's the first thing is like you getting really clear on what does that actually look like? This is what I'm asking of you. And this is my boundary here. And if you cannot respect that, what is it that you're willing to do? Because see, this is where boundaries get tricky, is the follow through. So if I said to you, Ainsley, like, you know, you've got to stop texting me. Please stop texting me. I need some space from you. And you just kept texting me. I say, Ainsley, I'm going to block your number. And then I won't get any of your communication if you don't stop texting me. And then you text me. Well, guess what? I got to block your number. Am I willing to follow through on that?
So I tried doing that. And like literally when I say I'm not a negative person, it's on it like 2020 just screwed me over and I'm like starting fresh, whatever. But I asked for time and space. I was extremely specific about that. And I said, please do not reach out to me or my husband. Please leave us for 3 weeks. I said, I'm not sure that that's going to be enough time, but I need to just put a number on it so I can be specific. And in that time, my grandmother passed away and my grandfather on my other side of the family went into the hospital.
Okay.
So they did reach out to me, but and for good reason, of course. But it's just been like, but here's an exception, but here's another exception, but what about this exception, which is fine. But and I'll definitely grant them grace in that aspect. Like I appreciate that they reached out to me given those circumstances. Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I didn't want them to tell me what had gone on with my grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
but it just yeah, then my mom's like, oh, okay, well we're talking now. So
Yeah. So, and in that moment, that is because it's not up to them. This is your request, right? And so your boundary, it's up to you to make sure that your boundary stays. And so even like, hey mom, I really appreciate that you actually let me know, even though I asked you, not to be in contact, but I do appreciate it because this clearly is something that I need to know about. And I really like, thank you, thank you, thank you for doing that. But now, I still need my space. And just the reminder, because it's like the habit, as humans, we work in patterns. It's how we become efficient. It's how we just brush our teeth, right? So your mom has patterns in her brain about how she does life with you.
Mhm.
And as soon as there's like a little opening again, it's like, were you ever in a relationship where it's like you broke up with a guy and like you thought you were really clear, but then he like, did something. And so then you talk to him a little bit and then he's like, oh, he's like a little puppy with his tail wagging again. Like, yes, there's hope here. She's going to take me back. And then all of a sudden you guys are talking again and you're like, what? How did this happen? And he thinks that you want to be back with him. You're like, no, I don't want to be back with you. How did this happen? Right? And it happened because we allow ourselves to put that boundary down and to, we want to be comfortable as well. And putting up a boundary and enforcing a boundary is not comfortable. It's actually like painful for us, painful for the ones we love, or it can be. I guess it's not always fickle, but it can be. And the human mind will do anything to get out of pain. So your mom this is probably like, do you think that it's challenging for her, painful
Oh,
for her?
absolutely.
So your mom is like hoping at any glimpse, like, oh look, she responded. I can keep messaging her. Right? She just wants it to be healed so bad. She doesn't want this separation is causing her pain. And so she's going to do whatever she can to try and like, it doesn't mean she's trying to like, or at least I wouldn't make it mean that she's purposely trying to, but she may need some reminders.
And I think I'm torn in this scenario just because what I keep trying to explain to them is like the situations that have occurred, the events that have happened that are like absolutely irreparable. Like I can't these are like two things that I can't get over. I'm definitely not there now.
Yeah.
I definitely never wanted either of these things to happen.
Mm.
And the relationship that we're now kind of being forced to have is not the relationship I ever wanted. So I'm frustrated because I feel like what we had was taken away from me by the actions of others.
Okay. So
And so I agree, like she doesn't want this. And I agree that, especially like I look at it from the perspective of a parent, like I get that my parents are hurting, but I think what's like hurtful to me is that they can't see how what's happened has affected me.
yeah. So that is actually like and have you had coaching around that incident? And
No.
So that's actually what you need to, that is more so the work that needs to be done, because you have to find your resolve and your healing in that. And because there's going to be a whole lot of mixed messages and mixed emotions going on within you, because that hasn't been resolved. And it's something that you can bring up here and, be coached in a group setting if that is what you want. It could be something that you need to get some private coaching on. I don't know the whole story, but
Floppy. I'll save that for the private.
yeah. So, and it because right now that's like a gaping wound, and all you're doing is trying to set up boundaries so that that wound doesn't get touched.
Mhm.
And so, any sort of like, it's going to be a very wishy-washy, very emotional, very hard boundary for you to set, because there's such high emotion in there for you.
Mhm.
And then anything that they do, say, act, you're going to be like, do you see the wound that's here? Hello, people. Like, you just poured salt on it, and so your dukes are up. You're hurt. And when we're hurt, we put up our dukes to fight, because being angry feels better than being hurt. It feels stronger. It's a false sense of strength that we do to protect ourselves. And so your dukes are up right now. And you're like, I don't even know what to do, because all of my reality just crashed all around me. And I'm like broken. Or I feel broken. And I'm not saying those are your words. I'm speaking from,
Yep, you got him though.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and girl, like, I'm going to encourage just like lots of journaling. Allow yourself to just be honest, like verbal diarrhea on the page. Like, whatever comes out of you create that quiet, still space for yourself as a habit on a regular basis, as much as you don't want to do it, because it's sitting and walking into the discomfort. You will find healing in that. You've got to get that out of you and be honest and not judge yourself for whatever's going on inside of you. And then at some point you will be ready to forgive, which is really, it's like forgiving of the pain. It's you giving up that pain that's inside of you. But there's some work that needs to be done in there before you're able to do that.
Mhm. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for showing up and sharing that, because it's not always easy. So you'll get through it, and you're taking steps towards that. So you gotta, give yourself kudos. Awesome. All right. Was there anybody else that had anything happening? No. Oh,
Oh, it's Krista. I don't know why it says my last name there. I wasn't able to change it. So this is maybe a little bit.
Aiko.
Yeah. So I've been coached on lots of big issues, but there's one issue that I feel like it seems kind of trivial that I've just been really, really struggling with. So I've had some health issues, and I had to go gluten-free, dairy-free, and I thought I could never do it because I'm half Italian, and this is like the end of my world, but I did it. And I did that for about 3 or 4 months, but I have this really unhealthy relationship with the scale, because I've had so many years of having that measure my worth and struggles with weight and whatever, right from when I was a teenager. And so I finally, I was coaching with Heather. She's like, it's just data, just do it. I got on the scale, and I think I lost like 2 pounds after like 4 months of like this totally restrictive, feeling like I'm depriving myself completely. And it just pissed me off. And I went into this kind of sort of like spiral of like, and I could see myself doing it, but it was almost like I couldn't stop it. Like it was just the most silly thing. And yeah, I just realized that I have so many programs with that number, like the thoughts in my head, like they're just really huge, and just my self-worth and stuff. And I've done a lot of things in my life, but the fact that this scale number has this power over me is kind of scary.
Hmm.
So that's what I would like to be coached on.
Yeah, it's such a good one because, like, I don't know, is there a woman out there who who isn't, first of all, either in that or hasn't gone through that and now is on the other side? I would say, I don't know, I'm gonna guess, like, I actually, up until 2 years ago, I probably was convinced that every single woman lives with that chatter in her brain for her entire life. Like, I would have fought it tooth and nail that that was the truth. Like, you never get over that, because that was my entire life. And so can anybody else resonate with that the whole standing on the scale and your body, and like, I carried so much shame and so much guilt and so much, like, disconnected so much, had so much hate towards my own body my entire life. And then we want to lose weight, and it's like, and then we go into restriction. I don't know, but I was a teenager who was restricted, and that didn't turn out so well. Don't restrict me. Who likes being restricted? Nobody, right? Like, it's a horrible feeling. It's like straitjacket. So now you're feeling restricted, but you're working towards a goal, but you're so restricted. And then 4 months later, of like working so hard, giving up so much to lose 2 pounds? Like, what? Did you think you were going to be excited?
I thought it was going to be better than that. That's for sure.
Exactly. So now there's like this, it's almost like a misplaced anger on the number on the scale.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And so
Yeah.
what is it that you're really angry about?
I think more that I just can't have control over the situation and also angry that my weirdness about like not even wanting to see the scale means that I probably couldn't have, I've just gone so much time without weighing myself that trends can kind of happen, and, but I think it's more of a control thing. Like, I'm in control of lots of things in my life, and, I can will them to happen, and
Yes.
yeah.
But this is one thing,
Yeah.
one area of your life that you've always wanted to have control over
Yes.
and never
Yeah.
been able to quite figure it out.
Right.
So, and that in itself is a really good awareness for you to know that, because have I met you on one of these calls before?
I've been I've been in, I think, one call with
Lurking in
you.
the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been lurking.
So, okay, hold a second, because I had a direction I was going, and it just, a lurking comment threw me. So
I was talking about trying to have control over this part of my life.
right, thank you. So
Yeah.
yes, now if you think about, and you may have heard me say this before, but you think about the there's 6 human needs, but we'll just talk about 4 of them for right now. And those needs are for creating certainty in your life. Some people, uncertainty. So we like to have adventure and change, and love and connection, and significance. Now, typically, we function out of 2 of them, where into our default, where we will default into, because those 2 are the most important to us. So we'll do whatever it takes to create that for ourselves. So for you, when I say, that creating certainty, uncertainty, significance, love, and connection, what do you think your two highest are?
Probably certainty, I would say.
Mhm.
Like if I do X, then Y will happen. And love and connection, I would say.
Yeah. And so, oh man, this is so good. I love this because my whole I am on a mission to help set women free from disconnecting from their body and hating their body to like connecting to their body and actually loving themselves to their optimum vital health. And that is not a number on the scale. That is you in your own body, loving being in your own skin. And when you have this desire for love and connection, and you have this strong desire for certainty, and you don't feel like you have control over your body, the vessel that you live in every single day, all day long, that actually is like living, that breathes and keeps you alive, and you disconnect from it. But certainty is so important to you. Where are we certain? We can create comfort by eating. We can create certainty by making a decision about what we want to eat. Because guess what? At the end of the day, I get to decide. But when your body starts telling you, no, you don't get to decide anymore because this gluten shit doesn't work for me. Whatever it is that you're eating that your body starts to say no to, well, now you don't have love and connection because you're not loving and connecting with yourself. You're disconnecting and not loving. And you don't have certainty. Your body is being very uncertain. After being an Italian, eating that stuff your whole life, now you're told you can't? What? Right? So now your two top needs are not being met. How does that feel?
Not great.
Yeah.
In fact, my health did improve a lot.
Yeah. Of course it
But
did.
yeah,
And so, and it's so interesting. I love that you're talking to me about this because like
Yeah.
we are gluten-free, sugar-free, freaking everything free. We are so free of so much. And it started years ago with my husband's gut health. And it was just like one thing after another, having to remove and try to figure out. And it's just like it was like a puzzle that we just, had to, and no professional seemed to know. He went for scopes, he went for this, he went for that. And I just like followed along on the journey because I'm like, okay, well, I guess I won't eat that too until he wasn't around, then I'd eat it. But but then I started to notice, oh man, this stuff affects my body too. Probably not a good idea. And so here we have our bodies screaming at us, trying to notify us. It's like if you cut your foot, like the reason we have pain in our bodies, it's a signal. Our bodies are trying to talk to us. Hello, you have pain, deal with the pain. Don't keep walking on the cut, it's going to get infected. And we eat a big bowl of pasta and our stomachs bloated out to here and we're like, oh God. And it's like, I gotta go sleep, right? Our body's like, what? Like, hello, I'm trying to tell you something. Listen to me. But instead, like, I'll feel better tomorrow. Where's the digestive enzymes, right? And so it's like, actually, but because we hate our bodies, we've disconnected. We don't want to hear the messages. And then we hate ourselves for even trying to give us the messages. And yet it's like the whole piece of acceptance and going, okay, like, what is my body trying to tell me? And thank you, body. Thank you for these messages, for this wisdom. Because for the majority of my life, I didn't even listen to my body when I had to pee. I would hold it as long as I could because I didn't want to miss out on any fun since I was a little girl. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. I'd be dancing. Still, I catch myself in this pattern. I'm like dancing around the kitchen. Chris is like, chair, you have to go pee. I'm like, right, I gotta go pee. I'll be back. I'm not gonna miss anything. And I go pee. But like, even I noticed washing my face, like, and I was in like the beauty industry for 20 years, washing my face. I realized just this year how often, and I'm so dedicated to the washing of my face that if I fall asleep I'll wake up in the middle of the night like, oh my gosh, I didn't wash my face. I'll go wash my face. How often do we wash our face? We've never actually felt our face. Like, when was the last time you like put your hands on your body and just felt your body? Felt your heartbeat? Our body does so much for it. And we just want it to shut up, be quiet, just do what I need you to do. But there's a reason why we do that. And it's usually because within it is pain. And that pain is trying to tell us a message. And so you could look at this journey that you're on and hate and feel resistance and hate that you can't do it and have a perspective that makes you angry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, I've coached so many women around this. They just want to eat what everybody else eats. Why can't they just be? I'm like, I'm actually so glad that my body doesn't like that. Because if it liked that, that would be a major problem. But at least my body is like in tune and gives me messages. Hey, when you eat a piece of a Mars bar, which I did last week, in the moment, I thought it was good, but it really wasn't. Now that I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, it was so sweet. It like nearly threw me into a conniption. But my body tells me, hey, that doesn't actually feel good. But most of the time, we eat so much of it, our bodies are like so bogged down by those messages, it doesn't even get through. And so embracing and starting to go, okay, because like you've had many years to get you to the weight that you are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're like, okay, I'm going to stop this and this. And then, in 4 months, I should at least have lost something. Your body's like, no, I have a lot of recalibrating to do here. So when your mind shift goes into, I'm going to start to care for my body and love me and show me love by the foods I eat, by listening to those messages and tuning in, because you can look at, you're going to have thoughts about the number in the scale, right? It's like when I opened my wallet and I thought I had 100 and I have now 20 because my husband took the rest of it. I'm going to have thoughts about that number. And I could choose to think like, oh, right, of course Chris took it. He picked up dog food. I'm glad he took it. So there's ways of thinking about what that number is. But I think like even just taking a step back and looking at that bigger picture of truly like, this is the body that we have. I could talk about this for so long because there's so much to be said about it, and there's such a space that it needs to be spoken to in our world, because there's a lot of women who are disconnected from their bodies. Like, actually right now, I want every single one of you guys just to close your eyes. Every single one, close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes so none of us are looking. And as if, like, think about someone that you love so much that maybe you haven't seen because of COVID, whatever it is. Maybe you just saw them. Maybe it's your husband. Maybe it's your children. I don't care. Maybe it's your dog. Something that you have so much love in your heart for. You guys got that right there? You're thinking about that person or that dog or whatever it is. And now I want you to imagine that they're right in front of you. And it's the last time you're ever going to see them. And wrap your arms around them and put them around yourself right now. Like, just wrap your arms right around your body like you're holding that loved one. Just feel your heart enlarge, the love that you have. And just allow yourself to feel that love, because sometimes giving ourselves love is so clouded by the judgments and by the thoughts we have about ourselves that it's hard to tap into, how do I love myself? First of all, love is a feeling that you get to feel whenever you want to feel. And the more you feel it, the more it will flow through you to the point of where you will begin to love yourself. But allowing yourself moments like this where you think about, if you can't think about something you love about you, you think about something you love and you feel that feeling of love. That is the beginning of self-administered love, of letting love flow through your body. Often it's how I go to sleep at night. I just lie there and I let that love flow through me. And honestly, it's the best way to go to sleep, because my subconscious keeps working and keeps producing that love. And guess what? Love will heal every wound within us. But how often do we consciously curate that love inside of ourselves so that we feel it, not for anybody else, not for our kids, not for our husbands, not for the work we do, not for anything, but just for you. Because love feels so damn good. And each of you are deserving of it. Each of you are it. It is the seed that you were birthed out of, that you were created out of. So it is not just you are loved, it is you are loved. It is who you are. So let yourself have that a little more often than what you have been. It's a foreign concept in our world, and yet it's so vital. Okay, you guys can open your eyes again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And so when you step on that scale, you know, you can just wrap your arms around yourself and be like, I love every inch of this. I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't care if you know, actually, I have an uncle. He's like this short little Frenchman. He's so great. My Uncle Leo. And he always, the funny thing he does is he grabs me and he hugs me. And then I go to let go and he goes, and he holds on and he goes, okay, let go. Okay, let go. but he's the one holding on. I'm like, Uncle Will, stop this. But I love it. I love it. And sometimes that's what we got to do to ourselves. Okay, let go. No, I'm not going to let go. I'm just going to keep loving you. Even if you think you're unlovable, it's going to love you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to love you. And it's in that you will be able to see how lovable you actually are, exactly how you are, never changing anything about who you are or how you look or the number on the scale. You'll be able to love who you are. And then it's in that all of a sudden, because you love, it's like, do you have any children?
Yeah, I have 2.
Okay, so it's like your children, because you love them so much, it just naturally pours out of you that you want to do things for them. Like, I love my dogs so much. It's like naturally, I'm like, oh, I want to buy them a new bed, get them the cutest little collars, and take them on walks. And right, it's like so natural. And once we begin to allow that love to flow through us more often, like it should be a daily practice, then all of a sudden we start to want. We're like, what? I wouldn't feed my body that. You know what I call this? This is my temple of boom. And temple of boom needs the right fuel. It needs movement. It needs water. It needs vitamins. This is what my temple of boom needs. And so when this charity says, I don't feel like it, I'm like, wait, where's the temple of boom? And she shows up. And then my decisions shift into caring for me. Because that loving who this is, I don't want to hurt this. I don't want to hurt me. And when I eat that bite of Mars bar, trust me, it hurt me. It hurt my head. I woke up with a headache. My eyes were puffy. I felt like shapoopoo. I felt like that Mars bar looked. That is how I felt. But like my brain was like, eat it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Just eat it. It's like a little toddler. Eat it. You're supporting your friend. She's having a bad day and she needs dessert. Eat it. Right? This is what my brain comes up with. But then, and I don't beat myself up for it. I just look back and go, right, that's why I don't eat that. It's a data point. And that's it. Data point.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. And if you have any questions about that, you can message me because it was kind of a really big answer for like the number on the scale.
Yeah.
But it's always more.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
That's what I needed.
Amazing. Good. Oh, you ladies. It's so great. Heather messaged me saying, thanks for being a part of the group and just feels so much gratitude. And I was like, dude, it is so reciprocated. Like, I feel so honored that you trust me with your women, with this group right here. So I want you guys to know that I appreciate your time and your desire for growth and to show up and be vulnerable. And, life's not easy. And, oh man, there is like, when you're going through it, when you're in the depth of the pain, it's very hard to believe. First of all, you can't see the purpose, but it's very hard to believe that there is purpose. But I will tell you that in the deepest, darkest, worst times of my life, the most painful times of my life, looking back is where the greatest purpose of my life has come out of. So as long as you're unwilling to give up, even in the moments when you feel like it, and you have to take a break, a breather, that's okay. You know what? You get back up and you keep on going. In whatever it is, you will figure it out. I believe that when you seek, you will eventually find. You just got to keep seeking until you find it. And I've always said since I was 15 years old, I am a truth seeker and a truth speaker And either people love me or they hate me. And usually not anything in between. It's not often that they hate me, but there's some haters, and that's okay. I still love them. But all right, ladies. It was so good seeing you. And thank you for you ladies who are like in other areas of Canada where it's later, and I would be in bed if I were you by now. So good for you for keeping your brains awake at this time. Anybody have anything else? Oh, Nalia is asking, are you doing something tomorrow? So there is a post in the Facebook group, the Life Launch Facebook group, about this Creating Joy and Positivity retreat. It's a free retreat, online, virtual, and you can get signed up. You can get all the videos, you can get all the content. They're offering lots of free different stuff, which is really cool. And tomorrow I'm the closing speaker at 11:15 Pacific. So if you want to get the recording, or if you can be there live, that would be even better, because then I get to see your faces on the screen, and that would be great. So I don't feel so alone out there. Just joking, I won't feel them. But yeah, I would love it. Join if you can. It's a really great resource. Anybody have any other questions, thoughts, anything? Anything you want to share? Yeah. Yeah. I'll challenge you to go to bed and practice this way of giving yourself that love. I fall asleep so quick when I do it. And I have a little card. I don't have, oh, I do have one right here. So this is my business card. Actually, anybody who wants one, I'll send one to you. But this one's very dim. It says, "Hello, beautiful." And so I have it actually in a few different places, just to remind me, hello, beautiful, but beside my bed, and it reminds me to give myself that love. So I challenge you guys to do that, because you're all so lovable. Okay. Okay. All right, ladies. I hope to see some of you tomorrow. If not, well, maybe you'll see the recording. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Happy New Year, by the way. Okay, bye, ladies.